Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for January 8th, 2016. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss, and please excuse my voice. We are in full effect in allergy season here in Central Texas, and it's been quite difficult to speak over the last few days. Taking a look at the daily chart for the ES, what we mentioned in the closing report last afternoon was that we could see a bounce back up, a reaction rally, if you will. But that bounce could be capped and we could see kind of a digestion day develop. And we've already seen that play out here in overnight trading almost perfectly alongside our analysis here. Now keep in mind though, after violating such an important zone here between 81 and 91, the implication is that we would likely see further overall downside price discovery into this 1879 target at the very least. So what I mentioned before was any bounce is likely to be met with selling pressure, and as bears are looking to defend pullbacks for a continuation lower. If price is able to get back above these 91s and hold, that would be a significant rejection here of price levels below the range and would imply a return back higher. But as of right now, it appears the overall downside pressure remains in full effect. But keep in mind, after a big high range day that we saw in the previous session, you're likely to see kind of a digestion day and a range develop. So right now, the idea is to fade anything between 28 and 30 and fade prices between 63 and 65 at this time. All right, taking a look here at the crude oil chart. Here's crude oil. We mentioned before that the downside break here through 35.35 implied a move into our target at 33.31, followed by a continuation into the next downside target, which is 31.28. That still remains our primary course of action, and the longer term outlook here is for a continuation into 28.91, which is the 100% expansion target from the primary key range. Now, I also mentioned that any bounce likely into 34.80 or 35.35, that zone would be met with selling pressure. And already what you've seen here in overnight trading is bears come in and defend prices above the previous session's high. That rejection alone implies that the pullback could be over and we could be looking at another round of weakness ahead heading into next week's trading. So again, as long as prices remain below this 35.35, pullbacks should be seen as selling opportunities and the downtrend will likely remain intact. Taking a look at gold here, we've seen a continuation into our primary bull target for the month. We've reached it right here, 11.1270. And I mentioned that was the primary to reach given the low of the month thus far. And we've seen a push through those 1088s right into that target. And then I mentioned that any pullback into 1088 or as low as 1083 should be seen as a buying opportunity for a continuation into 1130 and perhaps all the way across the range into 1169s. So we're currently seeing that initial pullback. We'll see how bulls defend, but there's an LV in here in the profile at 1088, and again, that's going to be the primary zone where bulls want to defend for another bounce higher after reaching that primary target. All right, now taking a look at the NQ, the last futures contract here. This one also broke through the bottom of the range. Important range here, 44.49. That implied a move into 43.11, which we reached in the prior session, and then a likely continuation into 41.74, which is the 100% expansion target from the key range. Now, I also mentioned that after a significant range day, high range day that we saw on the prior session, we're likely going to see a reaction rally back up, and we're likely to see price kind of trade in a range very similar to the ES. We've already seen that play out in overnight trading exactly according to our analysis. Now, we're likely going to see that continue to play out throughout the session as bears are looking to defend pullbacks as high as the 4400s. So again, if you see a move into 4400, that's likely an area where bears are looking to look to defend for a continuation into 4174 and perhaps back into 4059. All right, that's all for right now. Let's see how this thing plays out the rest of the session. Good luck and trade well.